actually have to test this shit. What's going on? What's going on? Give it a second to boot up. Yo! All right, let's get some music on. Today is going to be short, sweet, and to the point. And I have to find out my settings for audio, so we will listen in. I'm not getting any dropped frames, which is good. Let's see here. Am I live? Your channel. I am live. Actually gonna pause this real quick. Actually gonna pause this real quick. Oh, that's not bad. All right, cool. And so today we're going to be going over sort of where we left off last time with the first Lightning Web Component, and then do a little bit of research on JavaScript and how it interacts, specifically around event management, and see if we can get our Lightning Web Component to start talking or doing what we want it to do, which would be cool. Before we get there, I need to go over a couple of different things. So first of all, here, let me switch over to lower screen. So if you can read this, this is basically our get member status Lightning Web Component, and open default org. So I'm gonna open up my Scratch org real quick. We're in Visual Studio Code. Allows me to basically, use the Salesforce plugins and all that other stuff. So it's opening up my Scratch org. And if you remember, this is sort of what we wanted to see was, is there membership status? There you go. So basically I wanted to build a Lightning Web Component, which you're going to see here. I'm actually going to move this down. Boom. That allowed me to put, sort of create a tab, but realistically it's a data table that shows everything, membership status, all the accounts that have membership status with an upgrade button. And then I want to be able to select, maybe a couple of these and upgrade them. Now, a couple of issues I'm running into. First of all, membership status isn't showing up. I don't know why. Maybe that's my SOQL query. We'll take a look at that here in a minute. And then after we can get that to show up, realistically, we just need to be able to do an event handler. So, upon select, if you hit upgrade, run an event in JavaScript. I don't really know how to do that off the top of my head. I'm comfortable with like if else statements and all of that, but I don't really understand off the top of my head sort of how to do event handlers. So we're gonna test that out and have fun. But first, let's take a look at where we sit in terms of our JavaScript and get membership status and all that other stuff, right? So this is the Apex class. Let's actually look at this. So first of all, get member status, this Lightning Web Component, consists of basically HTML, JavaScript file, and it has an Apex class that calls a SOQL query. This is the Apex class, where basically I'm getting r-enable equals r-enable cacheable equals true. You have to have cacheable equals true for Lightning Web Components, but this is just pulling a list of accounts called get accounts, where I'm selecting the ID, name, type, industry, and membership status C from account where membership status is not equal to null. I only have 3 accounts in this field, or in this Scratch org anyways, so it's not really going to be a big issue, but I only want to show accounts where the membership status is actually not identical null, because in a real life scenario, traditionally you would be filtering based off of like customers or type or something along those lines, but in this particular instance, we'll just use membership status. Let's see. And then here's the HTML file. So I am pulling in a lightning card called membership statuses with a button where there's an on-click escalate handler. We can call this one, I don't know, upgrade handler. Lightning data table. So then I'm pulling in a lightning data table where the data is equal to data. Column ID is key field. And then there's an on-row action here, which I'm not exactly sure we're going to need, just simply for the fact that I don't have any row action buttons in this particular instance. And then there's a footer here, right? If you have any questions about membership status, like the HTML files, there's a lot of really great resources on this. Here is the JavaScript file. So I'm importing the Lightning element, I'm importing track, which allows me to work with data real time, and I'm importing wire, which allows me to wire and get data specifically from the get accounts, right? I'm also importing the get accounts method, if you will, the Apex class. So that way I have access to that list of accounts that was set in get accounts, right? So this is going to create a list, then I'm importing that list into my JavaScript file, and then yeah, so what we did here is we did it, nat track columns. So this is basically, I don't know if I want track or const. Should it be const? Should it be const? I think it should, actually. No, maybe. Columns. Anyway, so I'm defining the columns for the data table. As you know, first column is going to be name, type of text, sort of equals true. I actually do want it to be sortable, but I honestly don't know off the top of my head if I'm going to do that or not. I really just want to get the data flowing back and forth and the button working. But label membership status, field name membership underscore status underscore C, and pick list. I honestly think that should be const. Let's see, did I do account priorities with const? HTML, no, this is JavaScript. No, I didn't. Huh. Interesting. Okay, well, it is what it is. All right, so let's do a little bit of research into JavaScript. So here, let me get into my Trailhead first. And the first place that I go for most of this is Trailhead. Right here, as you'll see, there is a modern JavaScript development Trailhead that I've started to actually have a list of development trails and trailheads courses that I want to take just to help me get a little bit more comfortable. What's really cool is that over this past week, I have met I've networked with a couple of devs, one of which is actually in the process. He just started building an admin to dev course, which we're helping build out a little bit. And I think it's going to be interesting. I'm sort of waiting to see he says he's going to be done with the written version of the basic level admin to dev, which kind of goes into the methodologies, what is development, all of that. He's going to be done with that in the next couple weeks, and then we'll be able to provide revisions and feedback. So I'll take that course as well. Maybe I take it live, which would be cool, but that means I'm going to be streaming super early. But it is what it is. Also, I got a new mixer, if you will, for my audio interface. So before, I have an ATR 2100 with a full, really nice audio setup, but I had a Scarlett Solo. It was giving me issues. The USB seemed to just have a really bad connection to it, and it was just constantly going in and out. And so I ordered a Go XLR Mini, which is cool because it's got a button and it's got the whole setup. I can go through and set the EQ for my mic, which hopefully it sounds better now. But so that happened. Let's see what else. yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Some interesting things. All right, let's go to I got stream going on. I still don't even know how to do this whole YouTube studio shit. Salesforce Saturday, no. Like, how come it just doesn't tell me I'm live? Maybe I just need to go to my channel. I do need to just go to my channel. And it works. Cool. All right, so let's take this real quick. Let's do this JavaScript course. It says it's an hour and 15 minutes. I have about an hour until I got to dip out. But I think this is a good place to start in terms of learning some new information around JavaScript. All right. After completing this course, you'll be able to describe the current state of JavaScript development, list the different versions of ECMAScript. Yeah, I've actually done a lot of research onto JavaScript just generally because I haven't touched it in like 3 years, and it seems that a lot's changed in 3 years, which it has, right? As you can see. So ECMAScript, ES5, there's a big 10-year gap between ES3 and ES5. In 2016 ES, or they moved it to ES 2016, ES 2017. I think Salesforce is actually using the most modern day, which is pretty cool. But I'm not exactly sure. But for those of you who don't know what I'm doing here, this is Trailhead. And Trailhead is basically the free learning platform for Salesforce. So what is modern JavaScript development? One of the best things about being a developer is how much information there is on the internet, unfortunately. One of the worst things is how much information there is on the internet. That's actually true. Sometimes it's super easy to find things, but it's super difficult to find things as well, just because of how much information there is. Are you a developer who's written some JavaScript but don't consider yourself an expert? That's me. Do you feel overwhelmed when you do research? Blah, 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 blah. Yes. All right, the adoption reality. It's crazy because a lot of the times you'll see developers, they like skim through this stuff and then just like they get directly to the one place where they want to find it at. This is pretty fun, which is pretty crazy. They're sending everybody to CodePen. That's interesting. We actually used CodePen whenever I was in college. Maybe I do this. Which version of ECMAScript introduced the concept of modules? I think that was ES 2016. But we can figure it out. All right, let's read this. JavaScript is introduced. Huh. By the way, I found this on this Chill Out Records playlist. This dude's playing. Yeah, I don't have any interest in listening to that. Dude is playing in a mask. I'm just so curious as to why membership status isn't showing. Yeah, I know I haven't committed changes. So, put it this way. So what's also really cool is that Google just announced their grouping, which is you have to enable it, but so right. But you can now group tabs and stuff, which is pretty neat. Let's look at accounts. Membership status is platinum. And if we edit the object, membership status should be a pick list. is a pick list with a default of bronze. The API name is membership underscore status underscore C. So this is coming out correctly. So why this isn't working, I'm not exactly sure. Where's HTML? Columns. Membership underscore status underscore underscore C. And then if we look at here, you know what? Let's just get this. Push the changes. I'm gonna see if for some reason it's my... Here. I wish I could print this. No, I'm still not pulling it, so that wouldn't it. All right. Columns equals columns. At track columns. Shows it's a pick list. Sortable equals true. I'm actually gonna get rid of sortable, so nobody cares. Not sortable. Not yet, at least. We can add that in later. Track data. I'm already tracking columns. And I don't need an API. Which is confusing to me. All right. Let's take a look at this. So the data table for Lightning Web Component, it's got basic HTML, key field is ID, data, columns. All right, this is what it's showing. The div, basic JavaScript constant columns. So this one's not pulling anything in, which makes sense. Let's just try const. Let's just try, if we could try const, that'd be, I mean, I don't know why that would change anything, but. In TypeScript files. We're not referencing anything, which would make sense. We're not referencing another file. Okay. Label field name. Export default class basic extends lightning element. Oh yeah, well, I would need to do const on top. That makes sense. Can we do it this way? So basically, Const columns. Huh. That wouldn't make sense, right? ESLint, disable next line at OAC, no sync await, async, export default class, basic table, track columns equals columns. Now it gets called. Track data. What does that equal data? Async connected callback. Yeah, I know. So this is the the fetch data handler helper. Export delta function, fetch data helper, amount of records. So this is just calling response as a JSON file. I'm assuming that's to populate the data in this thing. Huh. So the JSON constant data equals a which data, amount of records 100, this data equals data. All right, so if I push this, push scratch to scratch.org, take a look at this. Why isn't my membership status coming through? Label membership status, field name, membership underscore status, type industry. I'm gonna test something. So we do have membership statuses that are showing up. Maybe I just do membership underscore status because, field name. Let's test this out. Membership underscore status. Could I like print this? That'd be interesting.
with a stronger tie. Yeah, I smoke the strongest pack. Tell me what is wrong with that. No point in the laundromat. You can't help but honor that. Jam man, make a man, more games than the Sega man. Jam man, make a man, more games than the Sega man. I am the great Saiyan. You better stop playing, man. This game could be difficult.
Slot equals actions. Assigns a slot to a shadow DOM. Shadow tree elements. An element with a slot attribute is assigned to the slot created by the slot. Element whose name attributes most value slot. Right, label, I already know what the label does. On click. An action triggered when the button is clicked. On clicked is upgrade handler. Upgrade handler is not defined in my JavaScript file, but we could probably define it. Columns equals columns. Write accounts, get write accounts. Huh. I have no idea what's going on. I guess this is, how most people are supposed to feel. I don't get it. I don't know. All right. I don't know if this makes sense because we don't need to define it previously. We should be able to define it afterwards. So track error, track data. I don't need to track columns because I'm already tracking columns. Write account, so I'm pulling in the data, if data, provide data, if an error. See, this is usually whenever I would try and find a really great mentor to sort of come in and just explain things. So maybe that's what we'll do. Maybe that's what we'll do. 1 second. Let me see if anybody that I know would be on. And Salesforce Exchange Discord. Everybody, you should check that out if you haven't already. All right. This should definitely be the actual API name, in my opinion, field name, right? Because that's how we communicate with the @wire. Is getting the accounts, it's pulling the API details. If I'm not mistaken, if I am mistaken, well, then hopefully somebody will correct me. It is a type pick list. So I'm just unsure as to why it's not even showing up. Right? Because it's not even showing up in the column. The column details aren't showing up at all. We have account type is showing up. Name is showing up. Industry is showing up. membership underscore status, membership underscore status underscore underscore C, which makes sense. Membership, I'm trying to make sure I didn't like misspell it. I don't get it. I don't know. It is a data type pick list. It is on the account object, so my SQL query should be hitting perfectly fine. Membership status. I have no idea. I have no idea. This is just confusing the shit out of me now. There you go. I had a piece of hair floating around. Well, I'm not exactly sure what the issue is. And why it's not showing up. Membership statuses. I'm like trying to read through this stuff. It just doesn't make sense. So lightning card, membership statuses, upgrade. Whoa. Got some explicit words there. Membership status just isn't showing up. So key field is data. Key field is ID. Data equals data. Columns equals columns. On a action. Handle row action. I mean, we'll need to track that eventually. Get accounts. So we are importing get accounts from I know why. Actually need to undo that. Get accounts from, this is the wrong. At membership statuses. That is why I was importing the wrong SQL query. Now watch this. How much you want to bet? That's why. I knew it. I knew it. I knew it. All right. So we now have membership statuses pulling over. Thank God. All right. So that's good. That's good news. That's good news. Now we can learn JavaScript. All right. So there's an event handler. So basically, now that we're getting all of the data, I don't need this. I actually don't need this anymore because this is working. So now that we're getting all of the data, basically what we want to do is on-click upgrade handler is the event that's going to be called. So this is a listener, right? So this is the HTML. It just has a listener that's waiting for an event. And when you click the button, that listener is going to trigger an event. I guess it's a listener. I mean, that would make sense. But so basically what this does is on-click. If you read right here, the action triggered when the button is clicked. A pointing device button has been pressed and released on an element. Okay, so let's look up button, which should actually be right here. Can take a look at the buttons. All right, basic buttons. Button HTML. Class, small button medium, which is fine. What is this? This is Lightning Web Components. Handle click event equals this dot click the button label equals event target label. So then how do we get it to do something? Event all right, so handle events in Lightning Web Components. There are two ways to listen for an event: declaratively from the component's HTML template, or programmatically using an imperative JavaScript API. It's better to listen from the HTML template, which is exactly what we're doing with the event listener, since it reduces the amount of code you need to write. Declarative listeners mark up in the HTML parent. So templates on notification. So on ours, on click equals handle escalate. It wouldn't be escalate, it would be upgrade, right? So we want to upgrade the membership status. So here, click the upgrade button. If it's gold, obviously go to platinum. If it's silver, go to gold. If it's bronze, go to silver. So then define the handler function in this example. Handle notification in the C parent JavaScript file. So this is what the HTML is calling the JavaScript child component. So traditionally, you would have more than one component sort of nested in each other. Since we're just doing a Lightning data table and a card, it's just literally, I'm doing it sort of all in one component. So I don't need to have multiple components calling each other. But import Lightning element from LWC, export default class parent extends Lightning element handle notification. Handle notification code runs when event is received. Attach an event listener programmatically. All right, so then if we do something similar to this, handle notification. So on here, on notification equals handle notification. So then here on ours, it would be on click equals upgrade handler. We can look at upgrade handler here, right? So then we would basically just say, because this is already exporting default class. So then this one would say, upgrade handler if, let's see, member status equals, let's do equals bronze. Actually, can I do that? Equals bronze, right? We'll set member status equals silver. And then, wait, would it be that? Else if member status equals silver, then we could do member status equals bronze, gold. Else if member status equals gold. So basically what I'm saying is if the member status is gold, member equals platinum. Set it to XYZ. Or if else, actually, member status equals platinum. Member shit. Equals, I don't know, you just want to set this one back to bronze? Bronze, there you go. We'll just do it that way. Now, what are my problems? Declaration or statement expected. Maybe I'm not doing this right. Member status equals bronze. Member status equals silver. Gold. No, it would have to be. And is it 1 or 2? No, it's 1. Right? Maybe that's not the right way to do it. Can I use this? If you know what? Let's try this. If this dot member status equals bronze. If this dot member status equals bronze, this dot member status equals set that to, I don't know, silver. Boom. Boom. Maybe? I don't know. No, this would be equals silver. If this works, this is gonna be cool. So we can do this. All right, so if this dot member status equals bronze, this dot member status should be equal to silver. All right, let's just, else if this dot membership status equals silver, all right, this dot membership status equals gold. Silver, gold, yeah. Declaration or statement. Else if, oh, maybe that's not one. Else if this dot membership status equals gold, then we just do this way. This dot member status equals platinum. Platinum. Else this dot membership status equals platinum. This dot member status equals silver. All right, so this is basically, is it this one? It's right here? No? Maybe here? No. Is it right here? Where is this expected? Right here? Really? Okay. Interesting. So let's test it. Push a default scratch org. Did it pass? It passed. I would really just love to have like a. There you go. Moment of truth. Moment of truth. Okay, so let's refresh this page. So basically what we did was we put a listener, a handler, upgrade. It doesn't do anything. Gold. Okay, can we refresh page? Platinum. There you go. Platinum. Handle events. Okay. When event bubbles, template bubble label button. Event retargeting. I wonder if you need to change, like, if there's anything that I need to do special for a pick list. Click button label list last target handle events. Okay. This is telling me let this. So if this member's status equals to bronze, let member status equal return silver. Let new member status. And then I could let membership status equal to new member status. Could I? Member status class. So this is a class. RIP. First of all. I don't know. I'm gonna have to do some research on this one, and then I'll get back to you all, because this membership status, I have to change the data in the column upgrade handler. But do I use field name or label? I think it's field name. Membership. Maybe that's what it is. To create a new membership status. I don't know. We're gonna check it out. Although I'm gonna have to do this. Too bad I have to go to my not families, but good friends of mine. We're gonna go to their house, and I'm going to read online on figuring out how to do this stuff, and see what I can do. You guys get to watch me stumble through this stuff, which is crazy, but right, organize code classes, understand JavaScript functions. All right, anyways, I'm gonna hop off. I've had enough trying for right now. I'll be back later. See you.